Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Israel Brief. As always, in Israel Brief Central, my shelter in Modi'in, home of the Maccabees. Tomorrow night we start the first night of Hanukkah, which talks about the story of the Maccabees. So I'm very much in the city of Hanukkah. And as always, the Israel Brief is brought to you by Lay of the Land. And you can join me every Monday to Thursday as I take a look at those top stories making headlines. And we're on day 60 of Israel's war with Hamas. So let's take a look at what has transpired over the last 24 hours or so. And the IDF has said that fighting has intensified, especially in areas around Khan Yunis. The Saudi newspaper Al Arabiya reported earlier today that the house of Yahya Sinwar, probably the most wanted man in Israel, he is the mastermind behind the October the 7th atrocities, has been surrounded. No confirmation if he is in the house. Now, I haven't seen that confirmed by the IDF. That has been reported by a Saudi paper. What the IDF has confirmed is the elimination of Hamas leaders inside one of the tunnels, and also the discovery of a massive cache of weapons, including rockets, anti-tank missiles, UAVs, and various other military equipment in residential areas, including close to kindergartens, schools, and a clinic. You know, we cannot understate again and again and again how Hamas embeds themselves within the civilian infrastructure, using their civilian population as human shields. And of course, we also stress that we don't have exact numbers of civilian casualties. We have to remember that the statistics that we receive come from Hamas. Hamas control all the information that comes out of the health ministry as well as the Gaza Strip. So we don't know exact numbers. And funny enough, according to Hamas, it always happens to be women, children, aid workers, and journalists, never Hamas fighters who are being killed in the thousands. The IDF have also confirmed that they are shelling Hezbollah targets inside southern Lebanon. This is in response to rocket fire fired at Israeli installations coming from Hezbollah. We have also heard from the daughter of one of the released hostages, Hannah Katsir. Her daughter has said that her mother developed a serious heart condition while being kept hostage by Hamas. I think we will discover in the coming weeks and months just how severe the conditions that our hostages were kept in. Yesterday, Israeli health officials testifying to the Knesset spoke about the fact that hostages were tranquilized before they were released to give the cameras, to give the world the illusion that they were happy and relaxed. But the stories that we are hearing are absolutely harrowing. We're not hearing the full truth because there are still family members, friends, community members being held hostage by Hamas. A White House official said yesterday that he believes the reason that Hamas are not releasing the women is because they will talk. It is no secret that Hamas engaged in rape and gender-based violence against Israeli women and girls, some of the most horrific accounts you will ever hear. We have also heard from doctors very concerned about the medical condition of those taken hostage. Some of the footage we have seen, like young Hirsch Polin, his arm blown off, other sustaining head wounds, shrapnel wounds, and also very, very dire medical conditions. Israel has said that along with eliminating Hamas, we intend to bring home each and every one of our hostages. We haven't forgotten about our brothers, our sons, our fathers, and our remaining women still being held hostage, and still no word about the Bibas family, the two gorgeous little red-haired children. We still don't know their status. Last night, the government screened the footage of the horrific attacks that have been put together by the IDF, taken from GoPro's body cam security footage, and screened it for a variety of Arab communal leaders, political leaders, journalists, influencers, and they're absolutely devastated by what they have seen. One official was quoted as saying, I don't even need to view this to know that it is undeniable what happened on the 7th of October. It goes against Islamic values and morals, he said. As a father and as a grandfather of 13 grandchildren, he couldn't bear to watch the footage of two little boys who ran to the shelter with their father, and whose father was killed by a hand grenade, and just the distress that they suffered. He said it absolutely devastated him. And this follows reports and polls taken within the Arab-Israeli community, who have said they identify much more strongly as Arab Israelis, citizens of Israel, than as Palestinians. And we can't forget that there is a distinction between Arab Israelis, who are fully enfranchised citizens of the State of Israel, and Palestinians who are not citizens of the State of Israel. This is where many people get confused. Palestinians living in Gaza or parts of the West Bank that are under the control of the Palestinian Authority, they are not citizens of Israel, but Israeli Arabs are, and many of them feeling much more patriotic, much more of an identity as Arab Israelis. We now go to the United States, and yesterday the presidents of Harvard, MIT, and the University of Pennsylvania testified before Congress about rising anti-Semitism on their campuses. This has been one of the most horrific things I have seen in recent days, as far as hearing about just the lack of care, watching the smirking of the president of the University of Pennsylvania as the Congressional Committee asked them some very harrowing and tough questions. One of the questions that was asked was about the violation of the code of conduct, or the violation of the rights of Jewish students on their campuses. Each of them, every single one of those presidents, answered that that anti-Semitic comments that calls for genocide against the Jewish students does not violate the code of conduct, and it depends on the context. What other context do you need for students on university campuses to hear calls for their extermination? What other context do you need? Another congressional representative, Representative John James, asked them what they were doing to combat anti-Semitism, and none of them could answer. And he said, by your silence, I take it as a no. It is absolutely horrifying to see what is happening on campuses. I must say that there have been many calls for these presidents to resign. And if any of you out there are donors or alumni of Harvard, of MIT, of the University of Pennsylvania, perhaps it is time to review whether or not you want to continue to support them with financial aid. And talking about Harvard, Israel's ambassador to the United Nations, Gilad Erdan, held a special screening of the body cam footage on the Harvard campus. We don't have any reports about how students reacted and who attended the screening. And finally, the US House of Representatives voted in a resolution and passed it 311 to 14, with 92 just marking themselves present, equating anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism. As we've said time and time again, if you want to criticize Israeli policy, that's absolutely okay. We do it here in Israel ourselves. In fact, it's our national sport. But when you say that the state of Israel has no right to exist, that the Jewish people have no right to national aspirations and a national liberation movement called Zionism, that is racist and that is anti-Semitic. And that's where I'm going to leave today's headlines. Don't forget to check out our website at www.layoftheland.online, We have in-depth coverage of Israel's war with Hamas. Our YouTube channel, where you are possibly viewing this right now, is at the Israel Brief. Click on that red subscribe button, like, share, invite your friends, get Israel's side of the story out to as many people as possible. We're on Facebook. Our page is at Lotlsite. That's at LOTLSITE. And we're on X. See, I got it right today. And you'll find us there at Lay of the Land 5. I'm Rolene Marks, wishing you all a wonderful day. Take care of yourselves and each other.